Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday, December 21st, 2022. Welcome to What the Frick Live. I'm your host, Emily Menshoues, and I have a new co-host this evening with me. His first time ever being a co-host on my show, Rick Dunn. Hello,
Hey,
Rick. How are
Emily.
you?
Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and being part of this. I appreciate it very, very much. I'm going to go through my regular routine and then have you introduce yourself a little bit to our viewers and listeners if you're going to be listening to this way of podcast. So, like always, everybody, if you're watching via Facebook, please give us a heart, ask plenty of questions. The more questions you ask, the more we show up in the algorithms. Also, if you are watching via Facebook and you don't have StreamYard giving you permission to use your name and picture so we know who we're talking to, please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, give that permission. We'd love to see your face and name to associate with the question or any comments that you may have. Also, if you're watching via Rumble, give us a positive Rumble over there. That helps us a whole lot. You cannot chat on Rumble yet. I don't know why. I've been talking to them. That'll happen eventually. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We love and appreciate you. Please like, share, all the fun stuff. It helps our guest. It helps our show. It helps our network. So appreciate everybody. Merry Christmas. Woo! There we go.
Ooh.
Always try to get all that stuff in under a minute. So, Rick, real quick before we introduce the guest tonight, because we got a lot of stuff to cover this evening with True Crime King. I'm so excited to talk to him. Tell a little bit about everybody, or tell a little bit about yourself to everybody.
Hey, everybody. I'm Rick. I live in New Jersey. I have a beautiful family. I got a trucking company. Do some consulting, but I am extremely excited to be here. So, hey, Ade. And I'm looking forward to talk to Mr. William immediately. So,
Yes. Hey, Ane, thank you for showing up. She's one of my dear friends. Love her very much. So thank you for showing up. We have a really special guest tonight. He is known as the True Crime King. He's written several books about Ghislaine Maxwell and Robert Durst. He's on a TV show, A&E. It was a hit show, Inmate to Roommate, because he spent, I think it was 18 years in prison and was just released like a year or so ago. I'm so excited. So let's bring William Steele on, True Crime King, with us. William Steele.
hey, man.
Hey, Emily. Hey, Rick.
Hey, brother. How are you?
Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Glad to have you.
We're glad to have you. Thank you so much. Hopefully I introduced you well enough, but just in case, if you want to go in a little bit more detail, and then we'll start asking the questions.
Oh, my God. A little more detail. I'll give your audience a little bit more about my background. So I'm born in Brooklyn, New York. And all my life, my mother was mentally ill. So I started off really defending her from a lot of bullies and people that would, mess with my mother. So I always had this heart to help people and really try to do the right thing. And as years went by, my neighborhood was all hardcore Italian, Jewish neighborhood, a lot of organized crime in my neighborhood as well. And I wanted to, there was a school that was advertising, locksmithing and alarms and stuff like that, the New York School of Locksmithing. And I always wanted to be a James Bond type guy, doing good things for the common good and trying to help people. And I looked at the school as an opportunity to learn some skills and maybe, get a job with law enforcement or, maybe federal law enforcement, CIA or something, something exotic, FBI, who knows, But I got those skills, graduated top of my class, had an alarm company, became a locksmith, worked in the World Trade Center. And so a few years into that, I got branched out. I got into real estate as well, buying and selling houses and working for Century 21 in Brooklyn. So around this time, a friend of mine died in a car crash, and I looked up some buddies who weren't aware of it, told them, and they weren't too concerned and offered me some coke, and I tried a little bit of coke, and I got on the coke pretty bad for quite a while. So I was like self-medicating this, this grief that I was going through at the time with the loss of my friend, and because I was supposed to have driven him that night, and I kind of canceled on him because I was doing something else, and so I felt very responsible. And so anyway, as time progressed and my addiction got worse on cocaine, I don't drink, I don't use any other kind of drugs, but I got pretty in over my head with coke, and I began getting in trouble and going on the run and starting to use my skills as a locksmith and alarm technician to become a jewel thief. So used to steal plenty of jewelry and artwork. And I'm not saying
I used to be a jeweler, Bill, real quick.
You were.
I have certificates in diamondology and gemology. So.
Okay, GIA, Gemological Institute of America, and all that.
Yeah.
How cool to be if Bill had stolen some of your diamonds back in the day.
I did used to have quite a bit of good collection of jewels, but not so much anymore. But I enjoyed my time selling jewelry. So when you're saying these things, did you break into these big, huge stores, department stores like Tiffany's or something, or did you do this? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mostly art and antique galleries or dealers, and also homes all through South Florida, California, Las Vegas, New York, especially South Florida. If it was on the Intercoastal or especially Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton, anything on the Intercoastal, oceanfront, multi-million-dollar homes. Those particular homes, I would usually pose as fashion designer Donna Karen's brother, and I would say she was doing a fashion show, and we were looking for a home $3 to $6 million range, South Florida area, waterfront, Intercoastal, and
casing them.
And because I was in real estate, I knew what made the realtors tick, wanting that commission. So they were quick to get me in and out of these houses. In those days, you get the brochure, the color photos, and all this stuff. I'm going through it looking for all the security devices, and then I'm not touching anything. I'm having them open all the closets, saying, we're going to gut renovate this place. If we make an offer, can you open the closets? Or I'll come back another visit with a camera, and I would film everything as we went through a place. And they'd be happy because they thought they were going to have this big commission to walk me around and let me have a free run of these huge mansions. And bottom line, so I had an inventory of houses I could hit. I knew exactly the schedules, who owned them, who was home, when the housekeepers were there, when the pool guy was there. I would ask everything. And if I didn't ask it, it was on those sheets. So they were giving me a whole dossier on each house. So then I just would go back and over a course of months or years hit them. I was making millions of dollars doing this. And during the same period, still using a lot of coke, but I would never do any crimes high. But we started running guns from South Florida to New York and cocaine, kilos. I was working with some guys from the Medellin cartel back in the 80s and 90s. So, it was nothing to run a trunk full of cocaine up to New York from Miami. I was making a ton of money, didn't have any responsibilities, and just not really doing the right thing. All my dreams were out the window. I started getting in trouble. I got arrested here and there, and so anyway, I went.
Ultimately, though, I have two questions, but this is just short. Ultimately, though, did you get in trouble mostly for the cocaine trafficking, not the jewels or the arts? What did you get in trouble the most?
Most of my convictions are either burglary or grand theft related, or one was like fleeing from the cops, another one escape, where I was profiled on America's Most Wanted website, but. It's not because it was so, necessarily spectacular, but it was because who I was and my skills. They went on there and said, well, why would you profile him on the news or America's Most Wanted when he's a nonviolent offender? And I said, well, with his skills, if you live on the waterfront or in a gated community, it doesn't make a difference. He's going to get in and out, at will and take what he wants. So it was a real threat to them, and including after the escape, when I finally got captured, I ended up doing almost 4 years in solitary confinement, Supermax, in 2 different states as a very, very high-risk offender, very high-risk escape risk. No matter where I went, instead of going to an outside hospital for a routine procedure with 2 officers, and and the waist chain and the black box, and they have the immobilization box that they handcuff you with, and the leg irons. Instead of all that, I'd have that plus an electric belt and about 8 officers taking me wherever I went. So
William, was any of your convictions for anything violent? Armed robbery?
No, none of the convictions that we're discussing were anything violent. No, nothing was violent. I got all this time for non-violent charges.
Which it ended up being 18 years total.
No, I did in total, counting everything. Okay, there was more than one instance where I got in trouble, and 3 of those years was spent in the Palm Beach County Jail. Another 3 years in the Broward County Jail. Almost half a year in the Las Vegas jail, and then years in prison in 2 different states. So it's probably way over. It's probably closer to 20-something years if you total it all in. I say 8 years for the show because that was the stretch I was doing when I got out at the time of the show when we filmed. Now we talk about the show. While I was in prison, I experienced a lot of loss. I was a law clerk. So I was taking college courses. I fought for the offenders for their rights to get adequate medical care and all that. And so I was really a big prison advocate for offenders' rights and trying to work, within the rules with the administration and the offenders to try to resolve things before they went to litigation. Because there's a lot of abuses in jails and prisons, and there's still a lot of racism and stuff like that. And I kind of didn't believe that at first until I went to the Virginia system. And I was in a supermax, and I witnessed black guys getting, beat up by these white officers out in the western part of that state. Bad, really bad beatings for no reason other than they're black. And I didn't believe it. I got there, and they said, they called me New York. Hey, New York, I heard you're a law clerk. Could you help us? These racist cops, they're killing inmates here. And I'm like, thinking, oh yeah, you guys just playing the race card. The first thing comes to mind because I didn't want to hear it. But then I started witnessing some incidents, and I tried to help. And then the officers took me in the officer station, and these are guys that are coal miners who now the coal miners were closed, and they were working in the supermax prisons. And he's from New York, and people were tough back then. I was also a loner back then. I didn't like hanging out.
I don't know. I don't see you as a loner. This is my mom. My mom's tuning in tonight. So, hey, Mom. She has a question because you seem like a big people person and everything. How did you cope in solitary confinement for so long without going crazy?
Who said I didn't go crazy? You have to talk to the people around me to realize how I am today, because I do have my moments still. Like, I reflect back on the amount of time I did and the isolation, and like even a song in the supermarket, man. I'll have to tell my fiance, hey, can you come here and give me a hug for a second? I'll break down a little bit. And so yeah, there's a lot of, I guess it's post-traumatic stress. I don't know. I've never really sought any help for it. But so I didn't go crazy, and I have a very strong faith. My faith in God is absolute. It's unshakable. I grew up Catholic, but now I just say I'm Christian. So I have a really strong faith. My fiance's got a very strong faith in God. And so she's my rock. She puts up with when the bad parts of me come out, when I need some comforting, or, I maybe get a little Sicilian, I get a little loud sometimes. But yeah, that's being in lockdown so long. When I got out of prison, I was offered this show called Inmate to Roommate on A&E Network. It became like the #2 most popular reality show in the country within a few weeks. And I'm the star of it. And it's surreal. Writing books and wanting to do this, my true crime platform, William Steele True Crime. Please subscribe, guys. I'm trying to build my channels up as well. But it was surreal to be offered this, because I was like, wait a minute, because it was supposed to put a spotlight on what leads to recidivism, contributing factors. And one of them is not having stable housing upon release. In my case, my family had ripped me off for $800,000 inheritance in New York. Stole the house on the Jersey Shore, stole the house in Brooklyn, told my mentally ill mother that I was dead. I didn't tell her I was in prison. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Did not know that.
No, I have proof. I have the letters. I'll put them out there.
You have siblings?
I have 2 sisters, and they literally told my mother I was dead so they could capture the inheritance before my mother passed away, and refused to give her my letters. And they could, complain all I want. I forgive them, but the truth is the truth. And I have letters from my sister saying such and such, which is my other sister, has told mommy that you're dead, and this is how this happened. So, they can deny it now, but we know what happened. And anyway, so I decided not to go back to New York. And just before I got out, I was writing books. I had met Mary a few months before I got out. Mary's a forensic accountant and a civilian fraud examiner. And she was helping an incarcerated client in California prison system, a guy whose family ripped off about $400 million from him, set him up to get incarcerated, so he discredited him. And there's a website, check it out, freedavereinhardt.com, freedavereinhardt.com, California prisoner. So she represents him and was looking for public relations representation for this guy. Calls up Tom Madden, a PR firm in New York, ripped her off, and took money, made a bunch of false promises, a firm called Goldman McCormack, a bunch of crooks, ripped her off. And I'll say it, put it out there. They can sue me if they want. I have the facts. I see the contract and I see the email. So they know that what they did to her. So she went to another PR firm in Boca, Tom Madden's firm. Tom's a friend of mine. He was vice president of NBC. Tom was representing me on this book, Sex and the Serial Killer, My Bizarre Times with Robert Durst, which I wrote about my friendship with Robert Durst, and some recordings I made, admissions he made to me. Tom said to her, "Sure, I could help you out, but I have an incarcerated friend / client. He gets out in a few months, and he's a law clerk, and he writes books." And Tom introduced me and Mary. So Mary and I fell in love. And the last 4 months I was in prison, I went from like hardly ever being on the phone to like telling the gang members, "Get lost, I'm using the phone." Because in prison they want to run everything. And I said, "I don't give a crap what you do. I've been leaving the phones alone. We're using them once a week. If I'm going to stay on all day right now, I'm in love. I'm going home soon. I'm staying on the phone. Do something about it." And I would use the phone. And so Mary and
here's the free DavidReinhardt.com. We have some people making comments and putting the website in there.
Thank you. Hey, we appreciate that. Please, everybody, reach out to him.
Hunkers all.
Hey, we're grateful for that. Thank you so much.
The Chosen Maxwell, is that any relation?
No, completely different family. Completely different family. That was a land deal where they received millions of dollars in gold. And so he was supposed to inherit that. There's Mary. She built a prosecutable RICO case against the people that put him in prison and that stole $700,000 from Mary's mother and stepfather after murdering him. So we're on that case too. So guys, the address is there. Write Dave a letter of support. We're also looking for a forensic document examiner to help him out with his case. If anybody's a forensic document examiner. But anyway, so we're also helping a guy, Dr. Leslie Marlin Scholl. He was a doctor here in Indiana, and where I'm filming Inmate to Roommate, and he was set up by a career con artist, a guy by the name of, I can't forget his name. Charles Ray Smith.
That's where Mary comes in.
yeah, he's my angel on my shoulder. So Charles Ray Smith, Elkhart, Indiana. Charles Ray Smith, con artist. You put that in the search. This guy is now looking at 120 years in prison. He tells people he has cures for cancer. He tried to sell us a house he didn't own when I got out of prison. I meet him. He's stressed out. Drives past me slowly. I said, "Hey, nice car." Got a sports car, convertible. I've been out of prison a few days. He backs up. He's like a biker type guy, tough looking guy, whatever. And he says, "What do you say?" I says, "Looks like you have a nice car, man. Is there a problem me complimenting your car?" And he goes, "Oh, I got plenty where this came from." And then here's where the bullshit began. And they told me he was the richest man in Elkhart. And, he's got 50 cars and, 500 Indian motorcycles and 200 Harleys. And so he takes me to a warehouse eventually, and it's like loaded with luxury cars and, safes with gold bars and stuff in it. And so come to find out he's wealthy, but it's from ripping off and killing people all over the Midwest. Allegedly, excuse me. Let me not say
allegedly. This is opinion. Allegedly. This is opinion. This is not facts.
Yeah. That's right. So Charles Ray Smith has since tried to sell us a house he didn't own. He tried to sell Mary. Mary was in remission from leukemia now. My fiance. He tried to sell us a fake cure for her leukemia. So me, seeing all his boasts, he was going to go out to lunch and have Bon Jovi over the house. Now he lives in a mansion here on the river. So he says, "Look, I'll see you tomorrow. Bon Jovi's coming over." And that was like the last straw. I'm like, "Mary, use your best skills. Who the F is this guy?" Now all of a sudden Bon Jovi's. Do me a favor. Tell me where Bon Jovi is right now. Because she's a fraud examiner. She knows what she's doing. She's a civilian fraud examiner. Next day, whatever, maybe a few hours later, she says, "Are you sitting down?" She's got to promise me you're not going to put your hands on this guy. I says, "Why? What'd you find out?" Because I already know he's full of shit about everything he's been saying. He's been successfully sued for selling people houses he doesn't own and other people fake cancer cures, and the FBI has him under investigation, and they're probably going to be arresting him any time now. About 6 months later they did, because now he's showing pictures. He's gonna do Angelina Jolie a favor and take care of a problem, because he's supposed to be a sideline
hitman.
Yeah, he's gonna take some, and we know it's not true, Angelina. So we're not putting anything crazy out here. But so he's got that on the phone, like conversations with Angelina Jolie trying to impress me. And I'm like, "Look, I might have been in prison, but I'm not an idiot. You could have faked all those texts. I don't believe it's Angelina Jolie." So.
Oh, Mary
comment is awesome.
John Bon Jovi. No.
Yeah.
She says
Love
when,
John
when
Bon
Bill
Jovi.
originally asked me to track down John Bon Jovi, I knew something serious was going down.
Yeah, make sure you put hashtag Bon Jovi on this video.
I know, hashtag. I will. I'll edit this, and definitely on the podcast will come. But I want Rick. Rick and I talked about you before you came on here. And we talked about you the last couple of days. I want Rick to ask a question here for you.
Oh my God,
William.
You are such a fascinating individual and your story, and I feel like I know maybe 10% of your story. Here's my issue with you, William. You are a phenomenal storyteller, and they say, you know, the greatest storytellers leave you wanting more. Every time that I get some information from you, every time that I read something, it's like, oh my God, I want the details. I want the specifics. Chris asked a question. So first off, I want to know, are you still in Elkhart? Do you still live in Indiana?
I'm still in Indiana because we're filming for my true crime, and I can't tell you what's going on with Inmate to Roommate on A&E Network. And so I will tell you this, that Inmate to Roommate, as of yesterday, shot up to 11 million views on TikTok. It was 10.9 a few days ago.
The hashtag, right?
I watched it, right? For anybody who has not seen that show, the A&E, it's fantastically done. It's hilarious. The dynamic between you and your roommates is just, I mean, absolute perfection. And it leaves you wanting more. Do you have any contact with him? Is there still any kind of contact between you and
unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately.
I try to keep it positive, but there are obligations we're all under. And I'm also contractually bound not to say certain things that I really want to say. But there's no love lost between everybody, you know. But well,
for the people that have not watched Inmate to Roommate, this was Bill's roommates but you all were pen pals and things for several years, right?
Right.
Before you moved in?
I was living with a couple, Mark and Shauna. Mark and Shauna are Seventh-day Adventists. God bless them. Some of them are good people, but these are not. And they were just the most judgmental, hypocritical, horrible people I think I've ever met.
Life is different when you start living with them.
Emily, wait, can you play a clip? Like,
yeah, I'm going to play the clip. This is his roommates. Here we go.
She used to be
I met Mark on a dating site.
Was it a Christian dating site?
Yes, it's a Seventh-day Adventist dating site. And now we've been married for 7 years.
And we're getting ready to house an inmate in our home.
This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording.
My name is William. I'm at Augusta Correctional Center in Craigsville, Virginia. I've been in 18 years. I was one of the top jewel and auto thieves in the country. I stole millions of dollars of jewelry. I had 10 years and I escaped from prison. And so they gave me more time. I'm currently serving time for prison escape, but I'm trying to turn all those experiences around to something good.
In 2 days, I'm leaving to go get Bill. He's getting out of prison and he's coming to live with us.
Well, let me tell you, I think you went from prison to prison.
That's what everybody said. It was like the Reddit thing where somebody said, oh my God, Bill, run back to the prison, bang on the door and tell the warden you want back in.
There's so many reality shows over the years that are just scripted, and you have somebody, really just writing a script and they're cutting it in certain ways. The awkwardness between you and Shauna, it's just, you couldn't act that out. Like it's absolute, it's real. It's raw. I love the show for the realness of it. The dynamic between you guys, it's such a fantastic watch. And I hope there's got to be more. Like they do, what is it? Like in The Bachelor and stuff, they get everybody together, afterwards, and they talk about specifics of it. I need that.
We're all obligated to do that. I don't know when that's going to happen.
Yes.
Probably when season 2 comes out. I do know they had to, sit down a few times side by side, and remember, she's got her fingers here, and I'm like, fingers. I'm like, because no matter what happened, they were calling parole. If I used too much toilet paper, they reported it.
Oh, that's right. You took too much toilet paper.
Yes.
Ice. Talk about the ice. The scene where she's hiding the ice maker from you because to punish you.
The ice, or you weren't allowed to put. I also have a clip where you were not allowed to put meat in the refrigerator.
You wouldn't allowed to have meat in the house.
Right. So it's just they were very controlling. I was writing her for years, and there was no signs of how whacked out she was, and she was just not stable at all. She was, and then when I got there, it turns out she liked me, and she wanted to go back to Hawaii with me and take me to Hawaii with her and break up with Mark, because Mark's into some other stuff that we're not going to get into here. But,
oh no, Mark's got secret. I have a clip here about house rules.
Oh, not so secret, because people who are into that stuff with him made sure they reached out on my fan page. I met such and such at a swingers club. Wait a minute, I didn't say that, did I? Wait. Hold on, what's it?
Let's look at the house rules for Bill in the list real quick. I'll play this clip too.
Bill's house rules.
Hey, where's the house?
Look at that.
Okay.
Bill, he kept adding more there.
We kept worrying about you, so we kept adding to the list.
Okay.
No profanity. Give 10% tithe to God's work. Lights out at 10 p.m. Non-compliance results in penalties.
I scarcely know how to respond. What the heck is going on here? I got a unicorn for a nightlight, and then the poster size list of rules with a freaking rainbow on it.
Bill's so
really extreme. I hope there's some negotiation.
I don't know about that.
Awesome.
Awkward silence. I get it. I'm under their roof. I'm a Christian. I'm not probably as strict as they are. But at the same time, I'm a New York guy. You know, forget about it. Everything's subject to negotiation.
Forget about it.
If something comes up, something happens.
Forget about it.
You know, I shouldn't be judged. I think we should put that in the closet where, like, all my guests that come over don't have to see that and embarrass me.
It's going to say you have no guests. You can't have guests, Bill.
Right.
Bill might think these rules are funny, but I really don't know why he would have a problem with following any of them, because this is our house and the rules need to be followed.
Because they're ridiculous, Mark.
That was so. Hold on, real quick. You have the house rules. I love that.
I think
that
it's
needs to be a T-shirt.
It's important to put it into context. He just got out of jail. 18 years, right? He gets in a car. He drives from like Virginia all the way over to Indiana before he's able to, you know, take a shower, sleep, you know, get caught up on anything. They're hitting him with house rules that say things like no gluttony on it. Like what's the definition of gluttony like in 2022?
This is screen news. They have no clue about like fat shaming people and all that stuff. I put on 100 pounds because we were locked down for COVID. And, you know, everybody gained weight. So did I. And then I got out and then I was able to eat whatever I wanted after 18 years. So I have trouble getting it back off. But because I still like eating everything in front of me because I've been deprived for 18 freaking years. Give me a break.
William, that needs to be a T-shirt, like a tour, like on the back, your rules on the back of a T-shirt, and then have your stuff, like your website on the front.
Have your website on the front. Yep.
I would definitely buy a T-shirt.
Great marketing.
All right.
Oh, would love to buy a T-shirt. Put that on T-shirts, I will buy one.
If you look at the when it was on the wall, the screen use, and I teasingly say that's the 67 commandments, right? So they had like addendums on post-it notes on it.
We couldn't read those. I couldn't see what those addendums said. I tried to.
They were just Bible scriptures.
Okay.
Scriptures.
the show, right? Can I ask about what I think is the like for me? This is the one thing that stands out. It's the most random thing. This is where my mind goes. When you're leaving the house and he's crying outside, right? Before that, you guys are in the house and both of you are just sweating profusely. Like, was that just because there was no AC in the house? Was the house just like that stagnantly hot?
Yeah, I'm a smart ass and I like to make jokes. I was going to say as a joke, he was smoking meth and I had a contact high, so we were sweating. No, I'm just kidding, guys. And YouTube and everybody. No, the reality was, I forget what month it was, like middle of the summer when that went down.
Okay.
And yeah, so we were just, it was hot, and I'm overweight, and it was ridiculous. And
you weren't that, he was soaking wet. And I think of all the things in that show, that's the one thing afterwards sticks in my mind. It's like, man, it was, what in the world were these guys doing? They were doing jumping jacks in between, you know, takes.
Keep in mind this, even the house, it's a big, beautiful house that they have, but they're not allowed to run the AC when you're filming because I guess all the mics and everything pick it up.
Okay.
So I tell the producer, look, crank this thing as cold as it gets. I don't care what they say, because it's, you know, 2 hours between shots or whatever, 3 hours between shots. Make the house real icy and then turn it off, you know, because you always have, you know, production people coming and going. And so it was hot in the house, outside the house. It was pretty miserable.
Was that one of your first scenes too? Were you all super nervous? I would think that would be one of the first scenes, wasn't it?
Which one?
With the rules. Wasn't that the first episode or second episode?
That's the very first episode. And actually, no, that scene there was winter. You're talking about a different scene. I'm not allowed. If you hit it on the head, I'll tell you, yes, it was summer. But I'm not allowed to tell you what scene you're talking about because somebody might not have seen the show yet. But the one you're talking about was filmed as it became summer. Because I got out.
So they were good three months apart. Because you were there for what, at least 90 days or almost?
Longer, and I can't tell you if I'm still there or not now, as a matter of fact. But
God, there's more. They're filming right now.
Oh, he's in the basement right now. He's back.
We just scooped it.
No, they have too much weird shit hanging in their basement. I'm not going down there again. I didn't know what a ball gag was until I went down there.
Do they have children? Do they have children, William? Are you allowed to tell us that?
They have children who, when you know, they're adults. And I'll just say that, you know, we're in the faith. Some are no longer in it, and don't want to really disparage their kids. I have one of their relatives is a pastor, and he seems like a big phony because all he does is like lie all over the internet about me. And it's horrible because he's an end time cult type guy, seventh branch of Seventh Day somewhere in Ohio.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Mary.
All he does is put out nonsense.
It sounds like Warren Jeff's atmosphere or something.
Yeah, he never set foot in the house. Yet his abused wife, Shauna's daughter, you know, is like always over there trying to get away from this dude. And I said, look, that's why your own wife, while I was there, fled your home to get to safety. So leave me alone on the internet. Stop harassing me just because I'm on a TV show.
The ice maker's in the basement. You can get the ice maker since she has it down there. That's what Chris said.
Yeah. They're kind of end time people. So down there is a lot of weird stuff and a lot of stocking up for the end times. You know, a lot of. I'll give you an example. I was complaining that I had muscle atrophy and I needed real protein. I needed steak, and they found some protein powder that was like 3 years old in the house, and it was like bright yellow. It was supposed to be white. And I read, oh, it's fine. They're drinking it. I'm like, I'm not drinking that crap.
And it's vegan protein powder. So.
Yes, and then I'm complaining. I'm complaining that, you know, you guys won't even take me to a store. I'm stranded in the middle of nowhere in Elkhart. I don't even have my license yet, a car, nothing, no friends yet, nobody drive me anywhere. You know, I have a bad ankle, so they wanted me to walk 3 miles to a restaurant by myself. I said, can't you just drive me? You know.
Oh, I got a video of where he's teaching you how to drive.
That was one of
Can I play that one?
I can't give you permission, but I think it's
well, I'm going to play it. I played it. This is What the Frick Live. What the frick is going on here? So here we go.
It's entertainment and news.
It was about 18 years ago, and it was probably a stolen car situation.
Last time
so right here is your reverse, neutral drive, emergency brake, flashers.
Mark is acting like he needs to show me what everything in the car does. I was one of the top getaway drivers in the country before I got locked up. Well, Mark, you know, I've done a lot of high-speed chases. One of the incidents that stands out is when I played chicken with the police. Accelerated to about 100 miles an hour, playing chicken with them. They all pulled on the shoulder of the road, let me pass. Completely gave up the chase.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Rev that up, baby.
Whoa.
When I was younger, we used to steal a lot of cars in New York. And for example, if I stole a Cadillac or whatever we were stealing at the time, I'd have a few days of fun with them.
What are you doing?
I might race it through the snow at 40 miles an hour, spin out in the snow, learn how to handle on really dangerous situations. And I just became a very good driver by learning how to drive under dangerous circumstances.
Break. Okay.
I was hoping we'd find a bigger lot where I could really just open it up a little bit.
No, this is all you can handle for sure. Bill's driving like a maniac.
Oh.
Bill, you need to be DoorDasher.
It's funny. I tried that just to learn my way around that town once I finally got a car. Then I was like, wait a minute, I'm spending all this money on gas. I'm not making anything. And then I picked it up again just once or twice after I got famous. And then everywhere you go, it's like I'm being held up by people wanting to take pictures. I'm like, wait a minute, I got to deliver this food.
In Mary's post, right? It's part of the fact that your stories, it's just they leave me wanting more. I need more material from you, from William. There's one aspect of your life that I don't think you touch on, and I'd love to know a little more about. When were you running cocaine and drugs? What year was that? South Florida, New York?
80s, late 80s, early 90s.
So you were literally a cocaine cowboy.
No, but I knew one of the main cocaine cowboys is one of the people I was getting cocaine from.
Okay.
Jorge Ayala.
And so when did you leave Brooklyn?
Let me see. I've been going back and forth from Brooklyn to South.
And that's honestly you have so many fantastic things that are going on. I'm trying to picture your timeline in my mind, and it's like, well, I know he's in Brooklyn and he was hanging out with Robert Durst, and then we got the Epstein thing going on, but although he's running drugs at the same time.
Well, this is part 1 of 4, I believe. We agreed. So I don't know how many times you're going to have me on, but you can learn a lot about me here if you want guys to subscribe or in my books. So that's my true crime channel.
Yes, on YouTube, and then I have those in the description, and I've also been displaying them across the bottom here in the banner. But go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure I made that clear.
It was. Tell me about that. Like so you were finding. We'll give him a minute.
I just got over COVID.
It's okay. I can mute you, and then just when you sit back down, I'll unmute you. I'll mute him for a minute. So, see if he's okay. You okay, William?
Yeah, excuse me. I never had COVID. I had never had COVID before, and I'm actually just getting over it now. So.
That's a great point, Chris. You're watching it, right? And I think it's natural to almost pick sides. And when I think about that dynamic, it's like this guy just got out of jail, and the power dynamic. You had no power in the situation. You're living in their house under their crazy rules. You can't leave anywhere. It's that dynamic, and I don't know if they played well enough in the show where we really got to understand that you had no power. And we watched the show, it goes fast, but that was days, weeks, months go by. It's like, what in the world was this guy doing in that house for that random week where we didn't get to check in with him and see what's going on? What nonsense are they putting him through? They had all the power in this situation.
A lot of the fans did recognize that. Thank you, Mary Steele. It's my fiance joining us. Chris Blackburn, thank you. You gotta understand, a lot of the fans did recognize that, like exactly your observation. They took advantage, and they knew I was on parole. Thank God I had phenomenal parole officers. They knew about the show being filmed, and I just said, you know what? I have no choice but to let them know everything going on before they hear it from them first, and some twisted up version that tries to get me violated. I can't say what happened, but if you watch the show, you'll see they repeatedly try to have me violated for no reason. So sorry.
The show is crazy, but and how you went through that and maintained. I know it went from one extreme to another extreme. It was nothing guiding you effectively to be placed back into society, in my opinion.
Nope.
No. So, do you talk to the other people that's on the show that were also inmates? Have you spoken to them?
Artie one time, the lady who said, "You ain't gotta come home. You ain't gotta go home. We can't stay here." She was kicking the guy out. Remember her on the trailer? Artie and Jovan. That's one of the other people that were tracked. You know, we spoke to her once. We never did reconnect, but I don't know any of them. You know, I don't know. If you look at the fan pages, it's like 95% of the conversations about me. So everybody else, like, who's gonna make it out there? And everybody, because a lot of these guys are very belligerent or wanting to go back to deal drugs, or you know, just having different types of issues. Whereas I was keeping my cool and wanting to write books and working on a screenplay and saying, look, you know, I want to start a true crime podcast. I want to be a crime victim advocate. I want to go speak to college students. And I'm doing all that now. But all Shauna ever did was knock my ambitions. Now I have college professors inviting me all the time to talk to their students, you know, pastors. So that's what I want to do. You know, whether you pay me or not, you know, it's what I want to do. I want to help people through my experiences. And they didn't believe in that. They wanted to conform me. If she couldn't have me or conform me or whatever the hell their agenda was, I was no good. Everything I did was sinful and inappropriate. You know, we don't appreciate your New York humor around here.
Isn't that such an interesting like duality almost? You read the book with the Maxwell book and you talk about that kind of triangle, love triangle that you were in or invited into versus where you ended up now. It's like, man, it's an odd 360.
That's what, you know, Mary and my other family members said that, you know what, before you make any new friends, we're taking a family vote.
You need to do background checks too or something. I don't know.
Well, you know, because look who Robert Durst turned out to be after I meet him and all this nonsense he did right in front of me. And then, you know, because the image I portrayed, I was always running around with guns or silencers or trafficking. And it wasn't to hurt anybody, but I was a loner and I always had valuable things on me, i.e. stolen jewelry or kilos of cocaine. So I'm always armed. But with certain people I didn't trust that were also criminals, they didn't know if I was a hitman or not. So at various stages, you know, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Go ahead. That's what I was going to ask.
She thought I was, you know, about killing people. I let her believe it.
Didn't she ask you, because this is a triangulation type thing, and I know you have to understand Ghislaine, you got to know who her father was, Robert Maxwell, and who he worked for. And you also have to know who Epstein was and who he worked for, too. But with Ghislaine Maxwell and the triangulation thing, didn't she kind of want to hire you as a possible hitman to kill off Epstein?
Yep, it's in my book. I detail that.
My mind here is, did Jeffrey Epstein? I almost wore my Ghislaine Maxwell shirt tonight, but it's Christmas. I thought it should be. Ghislaine Maxwell did not kill herself. I'm ahead of the game. I have the Jeffrey Epstein shirt that says Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Sam Bankman-Fried didn't kill himself.
Well, everybody's sitting here thinking because but Jeffrey Epstein, really quick, I think he's alive personally. Y'all can call me crazy nuts. I think he's in Israel. But we always go to the Clintons with this stuff. What if Ghislaine Maxwell had him written off in prison?
No comment.
No comment either.
All I know,
dude, look, I feel the atmosphere.
I don't hide much. I wrote what I wrote in my books. There's way more that I know and actually have that I didn't put in there. There's evidence I turned into to authorities in 2005 before Jeffrey Epstein ever went to jail the first time.
Right.
While they knew they were in investigation because they were getting tips from God knows where. I don't know if it was a sheriff's office, a state attorney's office. They were getting tips. And her comment to me was, Jeffrey's going to be the death of me. And that she has some sort of assurance from Hillary Clinton that if something happened to him to end this investigation, because, you know, the Clintons are on video and everything, if something happened to him and all these things were suppressed and never got out, that Hillary would ensure that Ghislaine never got caught up in any of the crimes or charged with anything going on that Jeffrey was suspected of.
Well, it's because the Clinton Foundation absolutely funded her Miramar project, and there's laundering going on in these nonprofit organizations. Right.
Mary's actually an expert in nonprofits as well, and she's investigating a lot of that right now. And she's come to the same conclusions. My fiance is deep in that right now.
So if here, can I say this? This is gonna be a no comment. This is not. Nobody's gonna comment on this. Ghislaine Maxwell survives her stay in prison. I almost think that she was the one that had. If Jeffrey Epstein passed away, I almost think she's the one that had him knocked off. If she survives it.
I can't hear you. I have something in my eye.
Yeah, my computer went. Hey guys, I'm just back. I missed that.
Mary believes the same thing. I love Mary's gonna have to come on the show. Mary, yes, I think he's alive. I think he's in Israel. You don't believe he's in Israel, but I believe he's in Israel.
He doesn't believe.
I did read the book. The way you explain the situations. When I went into it, I thought it would be little I don't even know, like soap opera almost. Jeffrey reached his hand deep down inside the back of her shorts and squeezed gently on her supple. Like it wasn't any of that. It was the prose was, very well read. I'm looking forward to reading more of your stuff you put out. And where am I going with that? With that, right? Tell me about those damn censorship lines that you have in the book. Casually reading
the blackouts. It's like the government.
7 lines blacked
out.
Okay.
Redacted statements.
Out of the shower, gently relaxing, and GHISLAINE. Nope.
Keep in mind, both books, although the first one about Robert Durst has a sensational title, my co-author Gary Greenberg is editor of the National Enquirer. Hence the title. I said, Gary. Some of my Christian fans might think it's a salacious book, and it's not. This one and the one I wrote about my unfortunate relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell, GHISLAINE Sensational and Impure. These two books, they're written with the victims in mind. I have shout outs to the victims. I give homage to the victims. They're written for the investigators to have a roadmap for whenever they're ready to finish interviewing me. They can say, hey, on this page you said this. When did you turn that stuff in and to who? And I could say, thank you for finally taking it serious. Nobody's taking it serious except for with the minor women, which is wonderful. I still do nothing but support them. But so those blacked out parts, especially in the original book, was because Durst wasn't convicted yet of any murders. There was still multiple murders under investigation. And I didn't want to reveal too much about things that were going on. I probably should put out another edition of the Durst book and clean up a lot of that stuff. I could probably be safe to remove the redactions now. With the Maxwell book, yeah, there's a few things in there, like in areas where I didn't want to really get. I think it was part of it was names, but I do name names here that have not been named publicly.
Oh, for sure. Can we? I've read it. Can I talk about a couple things?
Sure.
Go ahead, Rick. Take it away.
You're watching a video, right? And there's, I know Travolta's in there, but I get there and I see Michael Jackson, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, how deep does this go? You're sitting there, and the book opens up with you in a very compromising position, grabs you from the beginning. Then it's, you go to talk about it, you're watching a video, and you see Michael Jackson like in this scene. I mean, what in the world goes through your head at this time? Had he passed away at that point?
No.
Okay.
But I think it goes deeper than Michael Jackson. I think this all ties into Clive Davis.
What's this?
What, Clive Davis? Whitney Houston's godmother or godfather to her daughter. Whitney Houston saw him the night before. Also ties into Aaron Carter. Also ties into Kanye West.
But that ties into
Jeffrey Epstein.
And
mm-hmm.
Oh God!
Listen, I'm not. I can't follow all conspiracy stuff.
He's pleading the fifth. He's pleading the fifth.
If my little piece of the puzzle helps you guys in any way,
the book ends.
I don't know or contribute a lot of that stuff because I don't know it.
Everybody read the book. The book is great. It ends. You end with
thank you.
Two bombshells. She talked about one, right, where she offered you $50,000 to end Jeffrey Epstein. But the other one is this video you saw with this alien technology. Has anything come of that?
That wasn't a video. I didn't see. Actually, let me not get too much into that. It was actually a device there. That's where he claimed it was a healing device, and I actually still know the location of that device. So that's
Since then, right? Since then, that period of time, is there anything you've learned more? Anything you've gotten deeper on in terms of that particular section?
That seems to be the type of thing that that the certain individual is looking for, and it's not necessarily law enforcement. So
Leave it.
Yeah.
I hate to say this. I'm honest with everybody. I have not read your book yet, William. I have, I have it on my list. I read about 13 to 16 books during the summer when I have low time. Super stressful with a kid that's super active in sports right now. But if you do audio, I think you need to do audio of your book.
Yep.
It definitely would be listening to it. I work from
You have
home.
to get your books on Audible.
Yeah.
My fans are asking me like crazy, and I took a poll more to stall for time than anything else because I don't know what I'm doing. I just got out of prison. I'm like, I don't know how to do an Audible book or how to even start the process. I said, but if I did one, should I get a voiceover actor or should I?
No.
No.
They all
You.
say yourself, but I'm like, oh great. But I'm thinking I'll just do it.
No,
please do it. I would have listened to it already. I need
to know something, Emily. Before we wrap this, I think we have a while to go.
We got about 5 or 6 minutes left.
Tell me the Aaron Carter tie-in because Mary is a regular contributor to TMZ. I was on TMZ. We got 7 million views with Harvey Levin, and she's a regular contributor on that show. She just did a piece about Aaron Carter on TMZ, and it got like 11,000 views on my channel.
Oh, I got so much stuff on Aaron Carter and Kanye West.
So that's what?
Yeah, go ahead. Proceed.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut right now, and I'll tell Mary. Mary can message me, and she can use it for TMZ. She don't even have to put my name on it. I'll just tell her.
So we know Aaron Carter passed away recently.
Right. So
we know Nick Carter. We know Nick Carter, how corrupt he is and how disgusting he is of a person and how he argued a lot of women over the years. And Aaron Carter was the truther. He was the black sheep of the family, and he was exposing all of this. And there's a rabbit hole. And then also, believe it or not, it deals with Brittany Murphy too. So this is crazy. Like, I've read a lot. I don't know if this is a conspiracy or not, people. I just connect the dots and I read a lot.
So you're saying Aaron Carter was a good guy in all this, though?
Yes.
Because I saw some of his interviews after his death, and that's exactly the spirit I get from him, that he was a good guy.
I wish I listened to him more when he was alive.
It seems like
it wouldn't make sense.
Anybody who comes out about the absolute horrific things that are going on with some wealthy people that abuse their money and power end up dead or discredited somehow. Or you see what's going on.
There's one common denominator of all of them is Clive Davis, though, and he has the school in New York City, Manhattan, New York, the school, the music, and everything. And it's just really weird of the people he connects himself with, and the next day or two, these people end up passing away.
In a bathtub.
In bathtubs. Mm-hmm. Here's my first question and it's on my Twitter. If you go over my Twitter quote,
it's like anybody going against the Clintons, they suicide with their heads missing,
Well, Hillary Clinton's dad took over the mafia portion of Chicago after Al Capone died. And they changed his last name because they're actually Jewish. I'm not being anti-Semitic when I say this, but they changed the name. And he took over that area after Al Capone passed away.
What was his name?
I can't remember his name right now, but I can send it to you and I'll show you.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird connections, and how it's just,
they're all connected.
I look at it like this:
but isn't everything connected if you're looking hard enough?
The Bible's been the ultimate authority. It never changes. This type of evil's been going on since the beginning of time, and Satan is the author of confusion, the father of the lie, and he's going to make you believe truth is truth and a lie is lie. And who the hell knows what the truth is, But there's a lot of. That's
why you got to have discernment. You have to have the gift of discernment.
Spirit of discernment, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I put the Holy Spirit over there. I said, Mary, do me a favor because she designed this for me. Please throw the Holy Spirit. The representative of the Holy Spirit comes like a dove. So.
Oh, your background.
My backdrop.
Yeah. There we go. I see it. Yes.
Right there.
So I don't know. It's all crazy. Hollywood, like even the breakdown of that comes from, like, if you want to call it the cultism and thing. The words and the power there is in spelling and the words that we're dealing with ancient times that are manifesting now. But with the Hollywood industry is that they're all majorly interconnected in many ways through contracts. And there's always that one person, maybe a handful of people that everybody's connected to in the end. What is it? The 6.6? What was that guy? The 6?
Kevin
is it
Bacon.
to Kevin Bacon? 6 points.
7 connections or 7 whatever.
Something like that.
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah,
yes. And everybody ties to
Emily,
Kevin Bacon.
Emily, didn't you say you used to work for Les Wexner?
Yes, I did. And that's how Epstein is become personal with me, because I worked for Lerner New York and Company. I was 5'9". I was 115 pounds at the time. I opened up the largest Lerner New York and Company store in Columbus, Ohio, which is 2 hours from me. I worked up there for about 6 months to 8 months. I hired people to take over management and stuff like that. But Les Wexner, I talked to him on a routine basis. I was young. I had no clue about the money this guy had or anything, but he came to the store on 2 occasions, and he asked me to go out to dinner with him and meet his friend Jeffrey. I had a friend named Stacy that was work with me that I actually recommended. She had a store. She was over the Lerner New York and Company store in the Lexington Fayette Mall. And I said, I'd like for her to come up to help me open the store. So she came up. So this was in 1999 and 2000. Okay. And so when Les Wexner asked me to meet him and meet his friend Jeffrey, in my heart, I believe it's the Holy Spirit, but said to me, absolutely not. Like there was something in my heart, and there was like red, like don't go. So I said no.
The Holy Spirit, woman's intuition. That's a good gut instinct. Now
it was, and I was young. So when he first got arrested, what was it, in 2006, 2007, or something like that? I called Stacy because I still had her contact. She's not even on social media. I think Stacy went and met them. I'll tell you that because she was invited too. But when this first happened, I contacted Stacy, and she said that was Les's friend, Jeff.
Wasn't Wexner one of the original people that he got a lot of money from?
Oh yeah.
And he has him on video, allegedly in a homosexual relationship with him that he was holding over his head.
Allegedly.
Right.
But
allegedly.
see, Lerner New York and Company Limited brand owned Victoria's Secret. It owned several other Bath and Body Works, Lerner New York and Company. There was another shop that they owned. So Les Wexner owned all of that. And one of Jeffrey Epstein's selling points was, come and meet me. I'll make you a Victoria's Secret model. So, you know, I don't know what would have happened. I'll just tell you this. I was 18, 19 years old when that happened. And so I would think that I was too, but I've always looked younger than what my age is. But Les Wexner should have known I was at least 18. But I was invited, and he said, come meet my friend Jeffrey, and I'll never forget it in my heart. I said, absolutely not. Don't go.
Have you heard that song that's out about Victoria's Secret?
Oh, yeah. With what's her face?
I know Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, Secret.
Girl, you wouldn't believe.
Jack's that rock songs
in Ohio. Is that the old dude who lives in Ohio?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get it now. All makes sense.
I think when Epstein opened his own investment securities firm or whatever, he got like billions off of Les Wexner to get started.
Oh, billions. But is Les Wexner just the same criminal as Epstein? Was he ever caught with underage girls? I don't know. I have not seen that. Did he trust the wrong person? Was he true trusting? I don't know.
I don't know personally. I don't know. I just know the anecdotal stories like you do. So,
Emily, I'd love to know your latest opinion on Kanye.
Yeah.
Kanye.
I think he's one weird guy, but he just, I don't know. I saw something.
Spiritual warfare is Kanye. That's spiritual warfare. He's struggling between good versus evil. He still has people in the evil side of it. If you want to talk about evil, he's trying to pull it out. He was born and raised in a Christian home with Holy Spirit, Pentecostal ways.
Now I can see what you're saying in that argument, but then I saw something where it was a YouTube tour. Somebody went to a synagogue in Brooklyn because he said I'm Jewish. Why would I be anti-Semitic?
But hold on,
and the people in the synagogue were saying This is where he sat. This is where he read. This is where he did his bar mitzvah. I don't know if it was a parody or real, but
there's two bloodlines of Jews, and that's a whole other topic. I don't want to talk about that this evening, but we have gone over. It's 10:04 already. I know this hour goes by fast, so I want to close this out because Bill or William, I'm going to have you back on. I already talked to you about that. And after the new year.
There's so many things we didn't get to.
Oh, so many. So many. And honestly, I'll tell this. I haven't said this to people that's listening. What the Frick Live is going to be, most likely, it looks good, the contract and everything, is going to be on an FM radio station out of New Orleans. It has millions and millions of listeners. So thank you.
I want to be one of the first guests when he pulled
Yes. Out. So that will be after the first year. I was hoping January, but might not be until February. But real quick, William, if you could tell people, I have a lot of the contacts in the description, how they can reach you or contact you, and then we'll let you go, and then Rick and I will close out the show.
Where is this going up exactly? Is this going up on YouTube as well or not yet?
Yes, it'll be uploaded for tomorrow to premiere tomorrow evening on YouTube. Okay,
so real quick, guys, I got out of prison. I do write books for a living. Support my books. Go to Amazon. William Steele is the name. Ghislaine Maxwell book. The links are in the description. My true crime channel is William Steele True Crime on YouTube. I'm on Rumble. I have a true crime podcast, which we have a distributor. It goes out everywhere. I don't know. Where do we go? I'm so new at this. None of this exists. None of this exists.
How about your website? You got a website, right?
On Amazon. Like, you just get on Amazon. You'll find it. It's not
my
hard.
website, William Steele Author. Wait. WilliamSteeleAuthor.com.
Yeah.
WilliamSteeleAuthor.com. Right. So I'm very new at this because I've been locked up for 18 years. I'm learning it. I'm learning how to use a smartphone. That's my true crime website. That's the trailer for my TV.
I'm looking forward to your website with your rules on the back, and put a little QR code on the sleeve.
Mary, make some T-shirts. Rules T-shirts.
Or even mugs.
I'm gonna make these poster size and autograph them for fans and sell them.
Awesome. I love that.
I'll tell you, William, thank you so much, man. Yes. This has been a lot of fun.
Things in my living room or in a man cave and hang them upside down and have them framed.
Mate, I tell you, this is fantastic. I urge you, get yourself your books, put them up on an Audible to where people can listen to them, and it'll blow up. And especially with your voice, that Brooklyn accent, people will fall in love with it.
Hey,
great marketing.
I appreciate that, Rick. It was great meeting you guys. Emily, nice to meet you.
And Mary says, I'll see what I can do with merchandise. Please, Mary, do it. And Mary, contact me on Facebook because I want you to come back on. I want you to come on the show too eventually. We got a lot to talk about. But William, thank you very much. You're coming back on. We'll set up dates. Thank you. And we'll let you go, and Rick and I will close out the show, okay?
Thank you. Thank you for having me again. Happy holidays, everybody. God bless.
Thank you.
Awesome, man.
Take care, Rick.
Same to you, brother.
There we go. Rick, thank you so much. Any final thoughts?
I should hate him, right? I'd be honest, right? Like, with the things he's done, like you want to hate him, right? Like, but he's so likable. Like, he's such a nice guy.
Him.
And, America loves a turnaround story, bottom, hit the bottom and working his way back up. And he's doing an incredible job at that. So I'm looking forward to him and the way he's able to tell a story and his likability to see where he goes. And I think he has just endless opportunities for success and kind of take over that world. Him hosting true crime type stuff and having interviews and being on those types of shows. So I'm looking forward to him. And I hope his victims advocacy and I see him starting a foundation and using his fame, and I'm sure wealth is to come to help others, because we know that world, unfortunately, in this country can be absolutely horrendous for specific groups of people. And I'd love to see him to use his platform for good. So I'm looking forward to following him. Thank you for having me on. I had so much fun.
Thank you, Rick, for being a part of this. I truly, truly appreciate it. And thank you for everybody for tuning in. Please follow William Steele. There's all the links and stuff in our description. We will not have a show this Friday, but I will be on the Centralist Radio Show Friday night talking all things politics, because you all know me. That's my side of things too, is politics. And from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. And then we won't be back until next Wednesday at 9 p.m. We're going to have finally had to reschedule them because of being sick and everything. But the Bloombergs off TLC's We Bought a Funeral Home. That's our New Year's show. So come have a couple drinks before the show. I'm dressing in glitter and all that kind of fun stuff. But we'll be live here Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the Bloombergs. We'll be on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, you name it. Love you all. Thank you. Merry Christmas. And we'll see you all next week, Wednesday, the 28th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great night.